welcome to our channel India Campus Guru. Today we're going to talk about some SAP Security Interview. I would say frequently asked questions. So what we did, I think we reached out to our community here, and I think you guys were kind enough to add a lot of questions you are being asked in the interviews, and also I think I added few there. So we're gonna review all those questions which we got from you, all of you guys. This is just like a laundry list of, I would say 23 questions, as you can see in the screen. And we will just talk about that for this video. Probably we'll try to do more questions and add your questions in a comment if you want to cover those questions or any other topic around SAP security, anything SAP security. I'd say the focus for us is trying to help you guys to expand your knowledge so that you are able to crack your interviews, enter into SAP security space. If you are a fresher, if you're like a junior resource, I would say, I'm not trying to this channel probably is, at least for at this stage, is not for experienced folks who has been doing this for 10 years, 15 years, whatever, but it's more for fresher, 0, 6 months, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year kind of a thing, where you're still kind of doing something, learning something. Maybe you still not have done a lot of GRC work. I will try to do something GRC as well. But I think our motive, at least for now, is to make sure you are prepared in your initial journey of SAP security. So let's begin. As you can see the screen, I think we have some questions which I got from, I think you guys, we had a survey there where we got all these questions. And we actually have a WhatsApp group as well where we collaborate, where we ask questions. I will share that link on the description of the video as well. And we have a Telegram group as well. So yeah, try to be active there. Try to hit us on all the channel you want to. All the descriptions, everything is in our channel and different videos. And yeah, I think we are always trying there to help you and maybe do like one-to-one coaching or just a counseling. Like if you just, I think you are trying to give interviews and you're failing, you want us to just do like a mock interview kind of thing, I think we can do that as well. So yeah, I think the idea is to help you guys and see how you can achieve your goal of being a SAP security consultant or admin, whatever role you're trying to be. So let's begin. I think the first questions talk about SU01. What are the mandatory fields in SU01? So I guess I have few videos there as well talking about SU01 and mandatory fields, but this T code, this SU01 T code, should be something you should like know end to end. Like this is something that's the first T code you would be using when you start SAP security journey, right? So I think, yeah, you should know the mandatory fields for SU01. So I will just quickly try to maybe show the T code itself, right? So this is the SAP screen here. And if I just type SU01, that's my SAP T code to create users. Again, my screen may look different than your screen. I may be on different version, but yeah, I think you still have to know what all the mandatory fields which we should have to maintain for any user we create, right? So and how you know the mandatory fields, right? So you see this star next to the last name here that says, yeah, that is a mandatory field. Like you can't go to the next level, next tabs of SU01 unless you maintain that mandatory field here, which is last name, right? Every other field is not mandatory here. You can keep it blank, but it's good to advise and recommended to put like whatever details you want to put, like first name, last name, email IDs, department, function, and I would say email ID for sure, and then first name, last name. I would say these three things you should be doing it, but just from SAP perspective, last name is mandatory on this tab. If I go to the next one, you can see user type. User type is also a mandatory field. You cannot just keep it blank. So you have to pick one here. Most of the cases it would be dialog account. And if you want to know the difference between these user type, I have a separate video which I will put in the link as well. But most of the cases you would be creating a dialog account and maybe system account, right? All the other ones I would say should not be used or not recommended to be used. So if it's a named account like me, you, or human, they have to be dialog account, and if it's like non-named account used for RFCs or any interface, it has to be system account. But again, if you want detailed video, I have a video for that as well, and I will hit that link on the description of this video. All right, so dialog as user type is also another mandatory field. So first was the last name, second is a user type, right? And password you have to maintain, even though it's not showing as a red, but either you have to disable the password with using these of the you see these buttons here, deactivate, or you can generate it. So if you deactivate it, then it's not going to ask you to maintain the password, but if you don't, then it will not let you go forward to for the other tabs in SU01, right? So if you have single sign-on, probably you're going to disable, deactivate the password here. But if you don't have single sign-on, you have to use password and you have to maintain a password here, right? So just for this scenario, I will just say deactivate it here so that it doesn't bother me. But just to know, like you should know that answer, right? Like you have to also maintain password if you don't have single sign-on. But if you deactivate it, it means nobody can use this SAP ID to log in without any single sign-on mechanism. Sorry. Yeah. So coming to again another mandatory field here, I think this is SNC. It's not mandatory, but SNC here is not the SAP SNC system. It is like the secure network encryption kind of a service, which is used for single sign-on, where you use SAP cryptographic libraries and encryptions and cipher suites, which actually encrypt your data, like whatever data is being transmitted. This is the whole encryption and the whole cryptography thing here. It also is used for the HTTPS and also the single sign-on mechanism. So if you have SAP SSO configured, I think you would have SNC maintained here as well, which would be needed for users to SSO to work. But again, not a mandatory field, but if you have and set up in your landscape, then you have to maintain it, but not by default. It's not a mandatory field. Apart from that, you can see date format and time format. You have to pick something. By default, it takes whatever system default is, but they are a mandatory field as well. You can't just keep it blank. You have to have one or two. You have to pick whatever you want to pick it, right? So sorry, I got an error message there, so ignore that. Yeah, so date format and time format, you can see there's a red there. So yeah, these are mandatory fields as well. Parameter, I would say it's not mandatory, but you should still have something, but it's not mandatory by default as per SAP functionality today. Role, I think you have to assign role. That's how a user get access into SAP, but you can just keep it blank. You can just create like a dummy account and don't even have any role. So it's not a mandatory field, but in general scenario, in normal scenario, you will have roles assigned to users here. Going to profiles, same thing. Again, we are kind of, it's been like a 2000 whatever 15 20 years before when we only have profile, we didn't have role. So you will see profiles being assigned here, but it's not recommended. We should not be assigning profiles directly to the user. SAP All, SAP New, I think, yeah, you should know that. I think that's another question in our question library, but yeah, don't assign SAP All, SAP New, unless even if it's a basis, guys. Yeah, please try to build a role and don't just assign SAP All and SAP New. That's some first thing audit will come and audit in your landscape, especially for production system. Okay. So yeah, profile also is not mandatory field. I was trying to, I think, go there. Same for groups. Personalization is not mandatory. License is not mandatory, but it would be mandatory again if you have a licensing model with SAP where you are being audited for how many users you have for particular license, then this is something you have to maintain. So if we just talk about SAP's mandatory fields, you saw last name was one, right? That was one. And then you saw date format and time format was another one, right? Everything else is not mandatory just from SAP perspective, and also the user type, right? So I would say two things: last name, user type, and then you had the two defaults, which is date and time, right? But as we discussed, based on your implementation, you have to maintain other fields as well, right? But just to answer that question, you got four, right? Last name, user type, date format, and time format. So those are the four mandatory fields in SU01 by default. Okay, so let's go back to the second question. All right, difference between SAP All and SAP New. So I told you, right, profiles, and I said don't assign SAP All and SAP New, right? So let's see what we see there. So yeah, these are two profiles, which is like when the system is being built or system is being kind of still kind of being built and basis is doing something, they and their default ID is called DIDIC or SAP star, right? I think we covered that into another video as well, so please go and check out. I will try to link that video link here as well. So yeah, by default, suppose like I'm installing a SAP system, right? Like you have to have ID, right? You can build those IDs after that, but initially you have to have some kind of access, or you can actually do your steps, do your post processing, do whatever things you have to do. So SAP gives I would say for the installation you can use SAP star and the password is pass, but that's only true when you enable. There's a parameter there which you should know. I think that would be another question as well. Let's call automatic SAP star. We could try to cover that as well, but yeah, so that's how you use SAP star. And then there's another ID called DIDIC, right? So DIDIC is like more like you do upgrade, or you should use DIDIC ID for those activities. Sometimes it even asks you to use DIDIC. You can't use any general IDs or like your own ID. So coming back to the SAP All, SAP New, as you can see, SAP All is kind of everything SAP. So all SAP authorization object with field and activity value star there, right? So anything which is standard, right? Not a custom, like if it's a new system, it should be all standard, right? There should not be any custom code or custom or even add-on component, or like you install some add-on which is a non-SAP given by some third party. But SAP All means this guy, when he or she has SAP All, he or she can do anything which is like all SAP. And then they kind of build another profile called SAP New, which they say has anything like new authorization checks are gonna add it into there. Suppose you have some version, right, SP4 whatever, and then you are upgrading to SP5, so maybe that's adding a few authorization objects. So unless you rebuild your SAP All profile, and those new objects gonna be part of the SAP New. So super user access, SAP All, SAP New kind of give a god mode. That guy can do anything. So it's strictly no for, I would say, any user in production, but maybe for sandbox and while we are building a system, probably you can assign it. So if you want to just go deeper, I think let's try to see if we can see the actual comparison. If I go to SUIM, let's see if we can compare it. So if you go to compare, right, and if I say compare our profiles, so let's compare these two profiles just to give you more clarity, right? So what I'm saying here, I'm saying please compare SAP All to SAP New profile. So again, this system, if you see, yeah, I guess this kind of a new version for me. So yeah, I think I just did comparison here. You can see, yeah, a lot of objects. I think you see green means this profile has these objects, and these ones, red one doesn't have it. So if I just scroll further up, okay, so I think you are seeing most of everything is in SAP All, right? Nothing is in SAP New. So we'll try to see if we can find something which is in SAP New but not in SAP All. So all authorization objects, green, SAP All. So SAP All is like a super daddy. You have to have that, and then SAP New is more like a delta, right? But let's hope we will see something here. And this would be big list, right? This is not like a, because I'm saying this is a god mode. So okay, we saw something. We saw some greens here, right? I think the audit ones are there, and then I think some other policies and these ones are here, which is in both the profiles, right? So that seems to be the new functionality which probably was added into SAP New, and maybe also SAP All was rebuilt. So you're seeing few greens here, right? So whatever I think new things it goes, but I would say SAP All is kind of a super daddy, and SAP New is like something which is like, yeah, 1 or 2 objects, 3 objects, 4 objects, which kind of just released, and SAP probably would add into that. And you can always rebuild these ones, which we can go deeper. So if you want to just cover this SAP or SAP New in more, I would say just video on that, we can do that as well. But yeah, just to know the difference between SAP All and SAP New. SAP All is like everything standard SAP objects with star values. SAP New kind of whatever delta and whatever new objects comes in, that's part of SAP New. Okay, so that was our second questions given by our lovely subscribers and lovely fan who are watching, who are supporting our channel. So please keep doing that. If you like it, subscribe, add comments, and just motivate. Add feedback. Tell us what you wanna us to create. And I think, yeah, if you wanna do some training, maybe if you want us to do like a mock interview, even like doing a workshop with you on just prepping you guys for interview, I think we can do that as well. So hit us, add your comments, and let us know. Okay, so I think another one says, what is the T code for table access? I think, yeah, table access, I think that the next question actually answered that. So SC16 and SC16N. So as a security consultant, I think you should know that. I have that into another video there as well. So SC16 and SC16N are T codes for table access, right? And if you want to say difference, SC16 was kind of old T code, and N is like the new one. So N stands for new. So you will see that N for a lot of legacy and the new T code, right? So if I say SC16 and SC16N, right? So okay, SC16 is this. If I do, I think, yeah, this is SC16. So it's a default screen. And if you go SC16N, yeah, so if this is being run for the first time, it's probably gonna take some time, right? But you can see, like, I prefer SC16. Few people prefer SC16N, but just know, like, SC16 is the older T code and a little bit some less option, and SC16N is more like the new T code of with maybe more options, more technical ones. And right, and it also give you, it's like SC11 or SC16. Yeah, SC16N probably is more closer to how SC11, the actual ABAP table maintenance T code, or SM30 looks like. Okay, so different type of users in SC01. I'm not going to talk about that. I briefly just discussed that. I think you can watch our video where we talked about dialog ID, system ID, service ID, right? So please do that. Which table give list of illegal password? And what is the expert mode in PFCG and when it is used? What is PFCG time dependency? What does use? So I think there are a lot of questions probably which we'll try to cover in the another part of this video. But let me quickly go here, which I think this is more like a generic one. Tell me about yourself. What is team size of a project? Have you done any implementation project, right? So let me just quickly cover these ones, and then probably I can go deeper into the other technical one, maybe in this video as well, or in the second part, right? So I think the one thing I think I always say, I have never failed an interview. I think all this my 17 years of working on SAP security, cyber, and cloud, and whatever you can. I think the confidence is key, right? Like, nobody knows everything. Even today, I don't know everything. I cannot, like, even a few of the questions I just saw, I have to maybe do Google and talk about it. So it's not like you will know everything. You are not a supercomputer, right? I think having a right mindset and attitude, and just understanding the basic functionality, and maybe if you don't know a table, you don't know a T code, you can always say, I think I know how it is done, or I can always find it out. But yeah, the basic, like you should have that security mindset, right? Like, as a security, I think the one thing, maybe I should have another video on that. I feel like coming from SAP security space, we focus just on the roles and user and access, right? But just cyber security or security is way beyond that, which I feel like SAP security folks kind of lag or miss it, because that's not they expected to work, and it's more around compliance, SOX, and GRC, and just user management, right? So maybe I will try to have another video on that. I think that's really key. But I would just say have confidence. Like, just I think when somebody says tell me about yourself, talk about what you have done. If you are fresher, I think talk about the projects or anything you have done in your college, or any uh, yeah, I think any internship you did, any small project, anything you're learning as a hobby, or just say like I'm learning from YouTube, or I'm learning from this place, or I have a mentor, or I mean, even though I'm not like expert here, I'm trying to learn. I'm a good learner, right? So I would say somebody able to, or at least eager to learn. I think I will hire somebody who's willing to learn and willing to listen and explore and trying to ask right questions. So if you don't ask questions, if you don't have that zeal of learning, I think, yeah, I'm not gonna hire you. But yeah, even though if you don't have anything, and I think actually I have a lot of experiences where I had like a college fresh out, and then he is now like earning a good amount of money while in US. But yeah, he's like full, even doing compliance right now. So yeah, I think he was just all fresh from college, and I think I got him, and then yeah, so you can learn anything if you want to learn, right? You just have to have a right mentor and then right mindset. So when somebody says to me about yourself, tell be truthful. Don't try to fake it. I think if you fake it, it's gonna come, right? So you can't fake it. Don't do all those I would say unethical things, like trying to show some experience or whatever. Just talk about it. Like, you have maybe not actually work on a project, but you know how implementation project is being done, like what actually is implementation project, right? Maybe I can do a video on that, right? Like, when somebody says you are just working on support project, right, and then they expect you to have experience on implementation project, but you have not worked on a implementation project, right? So just understand, like, in implementation project for SAP, what all things you are supposed to be doing as a SAP security consultant, and I think what we should be doing, right? So I think knowing that part is pretty critical. And I guess, yeah, just having that faith and show the confidence, I think that would be good enough. Maybe I should do like just one maybe non-technical thing as well. I will do a bigger video on that. Okay, but just wanted to cover these two before I think I go deeper into other questions there, right? So yeah, I think maybe I will end that this part here, just not to make it a too big of a video. I will put another videos just to cover other questions here. But keep I think submitting your questions on a comment, and do subscribe and like if you think we are somebody who's trying to put good content and we are helping, and share this to your with friend or whoever is trying to be into SAP. And I guess we are planning to move into other space, like we talk about cyber, cloud security, AWS security, whatever. Like I feel like, yeah, we kind of missed that whole, like, if you have that security mindset, you're gonna be good, whether it's SAP security or cloud security or whatever you're doing, right? So I'll try to do that. I'll put more videos there, guys. But stay safe, take care, never forget to learn. So keep learning. Bye.